be you, and you'll be unique. You tryna be like him, you must be mystique. So why?
Hello, my family. We took a little time off, but we're back to attack this year 2021. I want to welcome you to the Huddle, where we dive into the deepest depths of all the written word of the world to find out where the knowledge and experience lies. After growing through that year 2020, I'm so optimistic for what's coming onto the horizon. See, no matter what we say, last year prepared us for what's coming our way. In December, we said we're going to read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Currently, this book is an Amazon bestseller, but let me tell you from my personal experience, this is a gem. Joining me to discuss this phenomenal book is a great friend of mine named Zikomo Langston. Though our discussion was generated from the book Atomic Habits, it was carried on by the experiences of our lives. We all have goals, but James Clear, the author, wants us to understand that winners and losers have the same goals. Their habits are the only things that separate the two. So without further ado, huddle up. Welcome back to the Huddle. My name is Wallace Miles, and I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Zikomo Langston. Me and Zikomo go way back to about 6th grade when we was on the basketball court and soccer field. Zikomo was a very insightful man. He's been an insightful friend, a huge part of my development, and it's been a blessing to have him on the Huddle today. Good morning, Zikomo.
Good morning. It's a blessing to be a part of your show, man. You say that I helped you a part of your growth, man. You've helped me a lot in my growth as well, even from afar. Watching you with this podcast or with your YouTube channel and you with your book that's going to be dropping really soon. It really inspires me back like you did when we were in school. You not like you unlike most people can get that competitive fire and the inspiration out of me, and seeing you, take those steps, in the direction that you're going has definitely, given me a good example and something to look at so that I can move in my direction too. But yeah, man, we go way back, man. I remember, what was it, your birthday in August, we was competing playing badminton.
You got 31-year-old dudes out there playing badminton, diving across the grass. But yeah, Zikomo, it's been amazing to grow with you from near and afar. I'm glad we were able to rekindle the friendship after going out in our different ways, going to school, going to college. And in looking at this podcast, I thought about people that would be really insightful, have really good conversation. And of course, you came up. You've always been into reading. I've been trying to get back into it. That's the whole purpose of the Huddle, is to get people to start gaining that knowledge that is in the books. People just don't take the time to sit down and go through it. So that's the point of the Huddle. And we decided to go through the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And to me, this book hit home on so many levels. It attacks me in a way that I have to be honest with myself. I have to be truthful, to say, look, you got these goals, you got these things you want to do, but how are you going to get there? I even learned that goals is not the goal. So when you decided, I let you pick the book, what did you think of before you even open the book to read it?
So, and I don't want to get too deep on it. My process was, I actually went on Amazon and I was trying to see what are some good books. And I saw Atomic Habit was the #2 book on the Amazon list. So I remembered that I had downloaded the PDF book maybe 6 months ago. And I always get notifications from the site to, have I read it, or other people who might be commenting on this PDF file. And I was like, man, this would be a great opportunity. The New Year's coming up. Everybody's talking about goals and things they want to accomplish for the New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
So I was like, this would be the perfect time to kind of read this book. But little did I know, there's a reason why that book is #2 on the list. It definitely causes for self-reflection. It definitely gives you a plan and makes you feel like you can do these things. It makes creating new habits look a lot easier and breaking old ones easier. So yeah, man, I just heard a lot of great reviews about it, saw it on Amazon. I was like, man, this would be the perfect book for us, especially with the new year coming around.
And it definitely was the perfect book, man. When I got into it, like I said, it's been hitting on so many levels. The first thing that really hit me in the book is he goes and says, pretty much goals are bad. And my whole life is like, you set a goal, you attain the goal. You set the goal, you achieve the goal. And then he comes down like, that shouldn't be the focus. And it took me a while, of course, to continue reading, to realize what he was really saying. Like, goals, they're not necessarily bad, they're good. Cool, put a goal on the board. But what you should be focusing on are the habits that are going to get you to attain not even necessarily the goals, but the person you want to be. And those goals that you want will be milestones along your journey on becoming who you want. How did you receive when he first came out and said goals aren't even the focus?
Yeah, I was like you. I was like, man, that's a really interesting or different perspective, because our whole life is like, okay, what is your goal? What are your goals for the year, for 3 years, 5 years? And then when I really thought about it, when he broke it down, once you obtain a goal, you do lose motivation. You kind of put all this energy into acquiring something, and then when you get it, it's like, oh, it's over. But then when he broke down like habits, habits, and you want to know the identity of the person that you want to become, so that you can change yourself, and acquire, not just those things, but you can continue to grow and evolve as a person. And that's, right. and I think that's what, what's most important. It's not so much about material things. It's about, who are you becoming?
Right.
And that is what stood out the most to me in this book. It's like, I'm in a time right now, and I know we've had conversations offline, where I was in a bit of a funk or depression, and I don't want to make light of depression, and, because I know some people who go through it, they have, thoughts of maybe taking their lives or whatnot. And, I wasn't on that level, but I know that I wasn't where I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've noticed is that each year that you get older, you might not change that much, physically, but each year you kind of measure it by, what have I accomplished? Who am I growing into? And the previous year when I turned 32 was like, man, I'm not where I expected myself to be. So I was just stagnant and in this funk and just trying to escape in many different ways. And then, it wasn't until recently I started building this habit of, going to the gym, and working out. And it started off very small. I would go to the gym. I would be curling a little 5 pound, 10 pounds.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, man. And I'll be real self-conscious, man. I'll be, looking around. I knew people was laughing at me. I just couldn't see them. I knew they was laughing.
They was on the camera pointing at that guy.
Yeah. Look at that weak man over there. But I was like, you know what? I want to just be consistent. That's all I want to do. If I stay consistent, if I do it 3 times out of the week, I have a plan, gradually I'll get stronger. That's just how it goes.
Right.
I stuck to it for about a month. And then 2 months came. And then, before you know it, like I was benching 225, And then, so I was like,
come on, you're not a big guy, man. What are you, about 160, 175 at the most?
I'm actually 165. 160. I'm trying to get to 175.
That's a lot for a smaller guy. So that's impressive. And how long was that? Like 6 months or less?
So last time I tried to bench 225 was like in November, and I started my workout around your birthday in like August. Yeah. So maybe about 3-4 months.
Yeah, that's impressive though.
So yeah, once I started seeing that, and that's the funny of that's the funny thing about progress. Once you see it in one area, it's like, man, if I can do it here, then I wonder if I can do it over here in this area. So then, I just started, getting more focused and having more confidence in having more confidence in the things that I wanted out of life again. Like I was getting that fire back again.
Right.
So yeah, it's like he said, it's not so much about the goal, it's more about the identity and the beliefs that you hold in your head and the way that you're able to cheat are by doing those little habits, ritualistically,
Yeah, one quote he said was, one question he asked was, how do habits shape your identity? And you said that word identity, like a habit is a small piece. Well, he called like a vote towards the person you want to be. Like, how do you see these tiny habits defining your identity? I read a quote one time. It was, how you spend your days is how you spend your life. So to me, like, these tiny habits, just showing up to the gym, to me, always step one is to show up. You can't do it if you don't show up. No matter what you're trying to do, you got to show up. So how does these tiny habits for you, how did they build up? Because I mean, yeah, you showed up to the gym, you did your 5 pounds. How does that continuously work on your mental, moving towards those higher weights or higher goals that you have in life?
Well, one thing is there was a reward system. So the reward system for me, especially during this pandemic, was I get to get out of the house, and that might not sound like much, but today in 2020, that was kind of big. I would go to the gym, put my mask on, and I get to see people. Like I've been working from home for the past 3, almost 4 years now, but when I work from home, I will always go to the library or go to a coffee shop or something like that. So since I've been kind of on lockdown, I've just been going to the gym and being able to see people is like, okay, you got me here, now let's start. And then after I started, when I would leave the gym, I would get a benefit. You would get that good pain, like you did something, I would also get the reward of, I have a problem going to sleep at night sometimes. So with me going to the gym and kind of working out that energy, I would go to bed before 12 o'clock, when sometimes I would be up to like 1, 2 o'clock, and then I would start my day late, so there was a reward system. I was benefiting from it just on a smaller level. I didn't acquire anything, but on those little levels, I was just like, I was feeling good, So maybe that's not what you were looking for, but like, there was a reward system.
No, that's really good, because when you're doing something that's initially is daunting in your mind, like, I want to do that, but to get there is going to be so hard. But if you could find something, like, I thought you were going to say just reaching a new weight was going to be good, but you said the reward was to get out the house, and you could find something to make it worth whatever you're doing. If you're trying to become an author, if it takes you to sit down and write, and what you do is meditate before. If meditating gets you to write, great, and you feel fulfilled, or if it gets you to go out and have a conversation with a friend to try to stimulate your mind, whatever it takes to get you going towards the habit you're trying to build. I feel like that's what James Clear was trying to say. Make it simple, make it enticing to want to do. It might be tough to just sit down and start writing and just go to the gym. But if you got another reason to tie it to, then it makes it more rewarding, more enticing to reach it, start your habits. One thing.
Well, can I say one more thing? Another thing. So, and this hits on like the identity piece. So, recently, about 3 weeks ago, I found a trainer. And I started working out with him, and so now, I've overcome just being consistently in the gym. Now he pushes me in a different way. So he'll have me lifting weights, and they might not be that heavy, but he'll have me do like one weight like 50 times. And he counts,
Right.
his count is for every 2 is 1. So yes.
You're doing 100 reps pretty much.
Yes, I'm doing 100 reps, but it's lightweight. And he said that's going to help me get cut or whatever. But another thing that I like about it, the reward that I'm getting is the mental toughness. Because when you start doing something 40, 50 times, you have, you know, there's a place you gotta go through. Yeah. Once you get into like the 20s, you start getting exhausted. So then you gotta go and find a place to go.
Counting.
Yes. And sometimes he don't count. You don't know where he is, or he'll try to throw you off of the counting. But what I'm trying to get at is I'm liking the mental toughness that's coming from it, the character that I'm building. You know, so there's another word, there's another reward there. So even though, you know, it's hard and he's like really, you know, whooping my behind, you know, it's like, man, like you feel accomplished. Right. You know, you feel accomplished, and you know that you're dealing with pain and you're able to endure it. You know, so that's another reward that I've been getting recently.
We kind of jumped to the make it satisfying piece, but building better habits, Clear says it is 4 steps. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And what it sounds like is the reward is what makes it is what's satisfying to you. It makes you want to continue to grow. Like that mental fortification that you're doing, and the fact that you're understanding that as you go. A lot of people just do stuff and just to do it, but you're seeing the rewards that are deeper than just the layer. Like he says, try to build a streak. It sounds like you're trying to build your consistency, and the reward, I mean, and part of it is like, I don't want to break my streak. I've been doing so well. I see the progress. Let me be consistent. Let me stay on track. Because he said, never miss 2 days. You can miss a day, it happens. But don't make it a habit of missing days. That's something that I'm trying to work on in developing this change in Cleats. Is like always, every day I'm doing something to help build whatever this is gonna be. Like one day is working out because I want to be an image of a whole rounded person. Or one day is sitting down and writing. Today I was listening to an Instagram class of how to better design and develop your Instagram. Like it's always doing something in the direction of the person you're trying to be. So to jump to the beginning, like when he says make it obvious, like you're trying to start a new habit. Let's say you don't eat breakfast on a regular. How could you make eating breakfast obvious in the morning? Like what would you do to make that a trigger, a cue, like he says, to go ahead and eat your breakfast?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that's something that I'm working on now. Meal prep, you know, if you already have the food that you're gonna eat already prepped out and you just know, I just need to go over there and microwave it, that cuts it down dramatically, you know? And that's something, you know, with me trying to kind of like bulk up, I'm having to, you know, schedule the times, you know, so that I can make sure that I get all these meals, you know, not a whole lot of meals, but I'm trying to eat like a protein shake and maybe 3 meals. So to make sure that I get them all, I have to put a time, and I like to meal prep. That's something that I'm actually doing today, you know, is meal prepping. But yeah, I already have it kind of ready for you, you know. You know, that's I heard a quote where a man said, if you want to get up and run every day, or a runner who gets up in the morning and does his morning jog, what he does is he has his shoes already set up at the door. So when he gets up in the morning, everything is already in place for him to just get up and do his thing. You know, you don't leave yourself a whole lot of room to kind of make different decisions. You know, that's the importance of like planning. You have the time where you are conscious and being a creative and writing on different things. And then you have that time where it's just like, I'm in automatic mode where I'm just executing. You know, I don't have to think because I already planned it out.
So you kind of put Clear says kind of put things on your path. So if I'm waking up or my mind goes straight to put my shoes next to the bed or put them by the door, it's on your path. So it's a trigger like, oh, I need to do this. In the book, they brought up a scenario where if you're trying to run a marathon, break it down even smaller. I need to run every day. I need to run a mile every day. Break it down even smaller. I need to have what's going to get me out the door. I need to have my shoes. So once I put my shoes, my running shoes on, it's a trigger that I need to run a mile, which is a trigger to building to run that marathon. So it's breaking down whatever your big identity that you're trying to become and break it down into small pieces, because it takes, he has a 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes to get you started, then that's where you want to be. 2 minutes, whatever the initial trigger, the cue is, it needs to take less than 2 minutes. So putting my shoes on, that means I'm going running. And so that's the kind of things that I'm trying to develop is like, I put together a desk space. So I know when I sit down, this is a workspace. So it's not like I'm sitting on the couch watching sports because you can get distracted. I'm not in the kitchen trying to listen to something. Sit at your desk. I'm going to do that at some point during the day. It's time to work. So
he actually talked about that in a book. He was saying that it's better to create a habit where whatever space you're in, that's what you do specifically here. If you have a desk, I specifically work here. Your bedroom, I only go there to sleep. I have a chair to go and read books. In the kitchen, I only eat. And he was just saying that way, it just makes things very easy and simple. And when you get into those spaces, your mind automatically goes there, you know? So yeah, I'm like that too. That's so I had a therapy session, and that was one of the things that we talked about, because like you mentioned before, I would work anywhere. I might be working in my bed. I might be working on the couch and the TV's on, you know, I might just work anywhere, you know, anywhere that's kind of comfortable. But then, you know, the therapist, he told me, he was like, hey man, you know, the way to keep yourself focused is you need to have a space dedicated just for that. And make sure when you're there, it's like, okay, I'm here to do this between this time, and then I'm done. You don't, you know, you don't mix two different spaces, you know?
Yeah. So they got this, I mean, Clear has so many concepts, man. And every time you say something, it takes you back to one. It's like the Goldilocks concept, where work enough until you feel like it's becoming a chore and then stop. So get in your space, but so you can continue to build that habit, because what we do is we don't want to, humans want the easy way. It's just natural. So once we start feeling that irritation of being where we are, we need to stop. Stop before you get there. So all you felt is the progress. Even if it's writing a book, even if it's just writing a paragraph, and then you're starting to get to like, I'm frustrated, stop. Come back the next day to continue your habit, build your consistency, and start continuing, because what you do is you start pushing that threshold. So now it's a paragraph, now it's a page, then it's 5 pages. So as long as you continue to show up, step one, and then don't allow it to end up feeling bad, because you want to make it, you want it to be good, you want to be satisfied. So when you get done with it, you be like, all right, it wasn't a chore. That's what people really don't want to do, especially starting a new habit. I mean, once you get into it, I mean, you just get used to it not being the most satisfying thing all the time. But starting something, you really want it to be short, you want it to feel good, and you just want to be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm going through right now with my videography. So a lot of times when I'm doing videography, I will just work, or I'm in the space to be working, but after I do it so long, I get fatigued. And then that's when I start grabbing my phone, start going on YouTube, or I get distracted, listening to music or whatever, you know. But I've learned that what I like to do is in an hour, I'll work for 50 minutes straight, and then I'll just take a little 10-minute break, you know. I might, you know, something I do is like I like to go outside and maybe walk around a little bit and then come back and sit down. Or I might even do like a little some push-ups or something like that, just to kind of, you know, get my blood back pumping again, and, you know, or that might be the time that I might listen to a couple songs or check, you know, Instagram or something like that. But, you know, understanding, being aware of when you get fatigued so you can stop, so you can maintain the quality of your work.
Right.
You know, because what happens with me is you get distracted, and then you just there. You were there supposedly working for 3 hours, but you really did only an hour quality work.
Right. Yeah. Because you were just mulling over and fighting yourself the whole time.
Exactly.
Kind of going on the point of creating space, Clear said that motivation is overrated. And he followed that up with environment is what matters. And to me, being this, I'm working in this motivational space. I want to create the energy for people to want to do more in their lives. But when he said that, it made me think like motivation is a spark. It's like turning the car ignition. But for the car to turn over, for it to accelerate, to pick up speed, maintain speed, you got to create environments for yourself to continue to progress. Like one thing I want to do is I want to cut down on high caloric foods and sugar filled and fatty foods. So one thing to do is not bring them in the house. I create the environment where you can avoid something that's against the habits you want to build. So to you, when you hear that, what do you hear and how does it apply to you in your life?
So when I think about creating an environment, I think more about the space that I'm in right now. So to me, a symbol of like, or let me just take it back. So for me, when I think of creating a new environment, it might not be, switching up the feng shui or, adding a bunch of new things. For me, the way that looks is I have a board, right in front of this computer that you can't see, of just a list of different things that I want to do for the day. And the way I have it set up is from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., I have hour slots. And each one of those hour slots, I have what I'm supposed to be doing in an hour. So me, as I'm in here and I'm looking at that helps influence my environment. It's not a whole lot of stuff, but just looking at that and just knowing, oh, I gotta stay focused for these next 3 hours because I have to do this thing right here. Before, when I would like write down different tasks for the day, it was like, okay, I got these things to do, but you haven't activated it. You haven't said, like he said, what is it? The implementation intention, I believe that's what it's called. You haven't dedicated, when here to action. Yes. Yeah. So, and that's what looking at this is. It lets you know I only have 16 hours today. So I plan at 3 o'clock. I gotta travel and go somewhere. So that means that I'm gonna be listening to Atomic Habits as I'm traveling over to this spot. That's what I had to do yesterday when I only have 1 hour here. So looking at this for me is an environment, it changes my environment. Another thing that I'm thinking about doing is I want to have like so next year, one of the habits that I want to do is I want to start tracking my behavior and journaling. That's something that I want to do.
Why?
I want to start tracking my behavior because so the stigma that they have around men where they say we don't have much emotion or we're afraid to kind of show our emotion and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of learning that I have been completely unaware of how I've been feeling. Like I've just been telling people, hey, I'm fine, I'm all right, but I'm not really looking at what's going on internally. And over the past few weeks, I have been just looking, I've been practicing being present and just looking at how am I feeling? What are the beliefs of this feeling that I have? What's triggering these feelings? And that's been very helpful for me because, I want to change some different habits. I want to change my perspective on life. I want to grow. So being able to kind of like check those points in your life where you are feeling distracted, you are feeling, down or angry, you're feeling frustrated. I want to know what's triggering that.
Right.
So
deep,
for me, So for me, what I want to do is when I start noticing those types of behaviors, I just want to jot it down in my phone. You know, what was the trigger? You know, what are some activities that I'm doing? You know, what was my response to it? And maybe put the date and a time on it, you know? And as I keep up with it, you know, I'm kind of looking at these different things that are, you know, present in my life. And then now I can start to put together a plan of how I'm going to respond to these things when they pop up again.
Right.
So that's a, you know, next year, 2021 is a year of like healing and expanding my identity. And that's how I do track my behaviors and journal.
Sounds like you're trying to gain as much awareness about yourself so you can do things intentionally. Like a lot of times from what I hear, like from what you're aiming at is like, how am I reacting in the moment? A lot of times we react just off of impulse, but you want to be able to consciously see what's happening to you in life and then consciously and intentionally react how you would like to. And the way to track that, I mean, I feel like that's amazing. You're really on another level right now. When maybe 2022, I'll take that challenge myself. But that's my big thing right now is awareness. Is like, how am I feeling? How did I react? How did I react? How did it affect the person that I was interacting with? Like that's a big thing. But to track it, like that's some dedication right there. That's a huge habit. So man, I applaud you for thinking about it.
But I mean, but this isn't something that I just came up on my own, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there was someone, you know, they actually, you know, well, he talked about habit contracts, but you know, that was something one of the coaches that I've been talking to, you know, asked me to do, is to start tracking that kind of stuff. And it's
like a habit contract real quick. I know you just said it. What is a habit contract? So
a habit contract is something that you do with an accountability partner. So you want to say, hey, I want to start this habit, or I want to break this habit. You write it down, and you present it to your accountability partner. And the way it helps to, you know, keep you motivated is we all want to maintain a certain identity in the public. Right. You know, we don't want to look like we are out of control, and we don't want to disappoint important people in our lives. So when you put this contract that says, hey, you know, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to stop doing that, and it requires some honesty, you know, you know, that helps to keep you in check, because it's like, hey, I don't want to report to Wallace that, you know, I said that I was going to stop, you know, eating this thing, or I was going to stop drinking this. Now I got to report to Wallace that, you know, I messed up. And then you don't want to keep doing it over and over again, because then you don't look like you're serious. It makes you look bad, you know, you become more self-conscious. So that's the idea of a habit contract.
And one of the things that Clear said is we care what other people think of us. The culture. They had a drastic story in there, and I don't know if a lot of people know. There was a guy who signed a contract with a couple of his friends, and he put it out there on Twitter that if I don't put a tweet out by 7 o'clock, because he just wanted to wake up on time. If I don't put it out that I'm up, the first, I think he said first 15 or 25 people get $5. So if he doesn't wake up and they tweet him before he tweets the world, they get $5. And if he do that over and over and over again, that's gonna make me want to get up. I got a little bit of money and I don't want to give it away. Yeah. So that's to me, that's a drastic version, but that's the accountability that you're talking about. Like I need help doing the things that I know are gonna help me develop good habits, and especially with trusted people, friends. And that's the next topic I want to go into is. Well, before you go to the next topic,
I just wanted to add, I was listening to a podcast, and they were just talking about, they were framing it in goals. You know, they were saying, if you want to accomplish a goal, they said some people, there was a study where a group of people, you know, said whatever their goal they wanted to accomplish for the year. They just said it to themselves. There was another group of people who wrote it down. There was another group of people who, you know, knew what their goal was, wrote it down, and they told a friend. And then there was another group of people who wrote it down, and they were consistently checking in, or they had an accountability partner that was tracking them week by week on their progress to their goal. And they said that category of people significantly obtained their goal, or were more successful at acquiring their goal than everybody else. So, you know, that's something, you know, that I'm definitely interested in doing this year. It's just,
I might gotta write it down and send it to you, man. Sign and have you sign it, man.
Yeah,
I
man.
need that. I'm down for it because
Exactly.
It's something that, like, it's a piece of honor to me. So if I tell you I'm gonna do something and then I don't do it, it hurts me. But to have my brother, my friend, my family hold me accountable, I'm putting you in this. Now to me, I'm letting you down. So I personally can't do that. So I think it's a great idea to have a habit contract accountability partners in this fight for yourself. Honestly, fight for who you want to be. I mean, we're in this world together. We might as well work together to attain the things we want.
Yeah.
So I might have to do that. I'm going on a little vacation to kind of get my mind right before the new year. I might have something for you when you get back.
All right, man. Let's not use words like might, man, because you leaving it open to go either kind of way.
100%. See, that's the accountability I need right there. I'm down with it. All right. So that does take me into the role of family and friends in reshaping your habits, like in shaping and reshaping your habits. So they said that most of us build our habits from the environment we grew up in, the people that we grew up around, the culture we grew up in. How did, I guess, the family, the friends that you grew up with affect the habits, your interests as you were growing? And then how are the people that you surrounded with in your life now affecting, or how do you see them affecting your habits of trying to grow?
I think that's a good question. So my family, I come from, you know, long line of just hardworking people. Like, as far as I can go back to, like, my grandparents on my mom's side and on my dad's side, you know, like my grandmother, she worked as a nurse at Grady Hospital, and she worked long hours, you know, and, you know, she didn't have a car, so she had to ride the train, you know, get up real early in the morning, go up there, come back, and she raised like 3 kids. My grandfather on my dad's side, he was a truck driver, and he only had one arm. You know, if there was he accidentally shot himself, you know, when he was a young kid. And from that day on, he had this just competitive fire that, you know, yeah, I might not have one arm, but, you know, I can do anything that you can do, you know, which was given, that type of energy was given to my dad. And then, you know,
which flows all the way through you, 100%.
Yeah. And me looking at that type of energy, you know, from my dad and understanding where it come from. And then, you know, my mom, she works really hard and tirelessly, you know, seeing that, even though I'm not like that in all areas of my life, having those examples and knowing that that's where I come from, you know, I always know that I got another gear I can tap into, you know, and, you know, because maybe it's DNA or just me just seeing, it's like, I know if they can do this, then I can do it. So me having that type of background has definitely put the seed in my mind. Like, I could never just, you know, and that's a luxury. That's something that I'm privileged to have, because I know everybody doesn't have that example. But there is never a time in my head where, you know, I could just let things just go completely out of control, because I know that, you know, the people that I come from, they never just let things just go like that. They always had in the back of their mind, I can do it. You know, I can win. I can, you know, I believe in myself and all these different things, no matter how hard it gets. So they put that in me. So when I go out in the world and I deal with other people and I see that they don't have that in them, you know, that's when I become more grateful. It's like, man, you know, I'm glad that I was able to see it. You know, I'm glad that, you know, that I had those examples of people working hard, of people overcoming, you know, illnesses and, you know, things like that, you know, because it just proves to me that, you know, I can do those things too. But what you gonna say?
I was gonna say, for you to have that awareness of what those people that came before you have presented, like, I feel like a lot of people don't really take the time to see the true value in where they come from. Like, yeah, it could be some scenarios where it wasn't as favorable, but if you can see the value that people had to overcome the situations, if at the core you can learn from them. So for you to have the awareness, because I mean, honestly, you could sit there and say that my grandfather had one arm, my grandmother worked at Grady, my dad did this, my mother did that, and then not take it any deeper. But for you to have the awareness that your grandfather losing his arm triggered a change in his mind to be resilient in uh, uh, every facet of the word, to say that I'm going to be as good as anybody else with one arm, to see that translate into your father, and then know that that seed is in you. Like, that's amazing. I hope people can start to take that deeper thought of, yeah, this happened, but what was the result? Why did it happen? How can I grow from it or learn from it? Like, to me, I don't feel like we as, I'm gonna say a generation, I don't know the people before me or I don't know the people after me, but we as a generation don't take that extra step of thought enough to grow from it.
I mean, and not to, you know, toot my own horn, but that was something that I had to kind of force myself to kind of see. You know, you know, I've kind of known like something about myself. I'm just observing. You know, I like paying attention to certain things and kind of like, okay, what does this kind of mean? You know, what does all this stuff kind of mean? And you know, but what I think would be most important is I think family members should just start telling that to their you know relatives and children to let them know how difficult it was. Not to kind of like say, okay, yeah, this is what I did, but it's like, hey, I overcome these things. You know, there are people who overcome alcohol addictions, and you know, people who you know had to change their lives because of you know certain illnesses, like my grandmother. I'll never forget it. This is one of the things that I learned from my grandmother. She was a warrior. You know, she like when I was like about 1 or 2 years old, she she was suffering from a heart attack, and she thought she was going to die. And she told me at a very young age that, you know, in the ambulance, she just told God, she was like, hey, if I can just, you know, if I can see Zikomo graduate from high school, you know, I'll change everything. And from that moment, you know, she used to smoke, she used to drink, she used to, you know, not eat well. She just got really disciplined on her diet. You know, she wasn't a vegan or anything like that, but whatever the doctor told her to do, she said, hey, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do it to the T. No excuses. Every day she got up in the morning, she did her exercises. You know, she was just very ritualistic in her habits. And
so she started developing really good habits.
Yeah. And, you know, and then to kind of see her live, not only to see me to graduate from high school, but to see me to graduate from college, and to see most of my siblings and relatives graduate from high school and college too, said that she was given abundance, you know. And when she passed away, you know, of course I was sad, but I was very grateful, because it was like, man, what if it happened the other way around? What if she would have died on an ambulance trip, you know, when she had that heart attack? I would have never known her. I would have never learned all these lessons from her. So you know, I would tear up, but it was like, man, I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I was able to get that message from her, you know?
So that's wild. You come with that. I mean, your grandmother surviving the initial heart attack is a huge blessing. But then for her to change her habits gave her more time with her family, gave her more opportunities. Like it's that deep with these habit things, like achieving goals, but also creating opportunities, experiences with people that are genuine. Like I remember your grandmother, man. Like she was the coolest old lady that was on the block, right? We would go over in the summer and hang out. But for her to continue to because I remember she used to smoke. I remember that. Like for her to change her habits for more time with her grandchildren, for more time with her family, to more time to express what she's learned from the world. Like that's how deep and how important us establishing habits. It gives us more life. And I'm glad she was able to do that, spend that extra time with you, man.
Yeah, man. And that's how I looked at it, man. It was like, I was like, she was a divine woman to make that sacrifice, because I know people who can't, give up certain things. Maybe they tried, but they just, decided that, hey, this is who I am, but she was willing to do all of that so that she could see her grandkids grow up and she can be a part of their lives. It's like, man, I would feel selfish, if I was sad that she passed away. Cause it's like, man, like it could have easily went the other way. So I'm so glad I got so much time. I got the time back. I got that time.
Yeah, I wish James Clear would have sat down with your grandmother to kind of evaluate how habits can really change life, change trajectory, and add time to life. Like that's deep, brother. Like
yeah. She got an extra 20 plus years.
Yeah, man. So another thing that kind of came up to me, and you mentioned it, and it kind of goes back to genealogy, is the genes. The genes of who we are. They brought up the scenario of Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is a 6'4", long arms, short leg, long torso swimmer who's won the most gold medals in Olympic history. And then they brought up this runner, I forgot where he was from, but he won the Olympics and ran the fastest marathon. And he was built a certain way, and Michael Phelps was built the way he was. But the way they were built, you couldn't transport them into the other field. Like Michael Phelps couldn't go and run, be the fastest marathon runner because of just his genetics, and the other guy couldn't go out there and be the fastest swimmer because of his genetics. So what they were trying to get at is find out what comes. I don't want to say easy, but what comes more natural to you, and try to work in that direction and put your habits on that path. So it's natural to incorporate them as you're moving forward. Like for me, I'm an early morning person. So if I say I want to meditate, and I keep saying this because that's one of my goals. I mean, one of my habits I'm trying to incorporate. I'm gonna get up in the morning and put that into my schedule. If I say I wanna meditate, I'm not gonna put it at night, because at night I'm rolling. And then and when it's time to go to bed, I shut it off. So I'm naturally a morning person. I put the habit of meditating first thing I do in the morning, so I know I get it in. So to you, how do you feel like genetics, and they say genetics, but like the natural abilities or natural inclinations of a person can help develop the habits that they're trying to grow into their life? I know I said a lot, but
well, I'll say this. So there are a couple different things, and when I think about genetics, I'm also thinking about like family and things like that. Yeah. So my family, especially on my mother's side, they are very exercise minded. Like all of them are like fit. My mom, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, they all work out. That's what they do. They always put in some time working out, and they all are very conscious about their diet, and I feel like that's something that I have gotten from them. Right. Before I used to go to the gym and work out, I used to run, and running is nothing to me. Like I could get up, maybe not now, but before I used to be able to just get up and just run like 10 miles, and I'll be tired, but I could push myself into that space to do it, Right. But I think that's something that I kind of got from them, genetically. So when it comes to areas like that, when it comes to like diet and it comes to, working out, that is something, that's instinctual to me. Another thing that I have that's instinctual is being like an analyst, questioning certain things. That's a skill set that comes from, and logic. That's a skill set that comes from both of my parents. So my dad, he is very, he's very logical minded. He has an IT background. He questions and critiques everything, So, and my mom, she's an accountant. And math, I was able to get those gifts too, and that helps me just in how I process different things. I have a very left brain type of like thinking. I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but
I think you look past just the word genetic. What you would think of is genomes and chromosomes and all of that. You looked at it actually goes back to two things we talk about: environment and family. Like those things became part of your genetic code because you grew up, you were developed within them. So it makes sense that your mind goes straight to what your family kind of surrounded you and kind of input you in, even if they weren't intentional. Like my parents, I had the same instinct was to go work out. Like working out is nothing. Like I'll do it no matter what. But like my household, we didn't sit down and read all the time. So that's not necessarily in my genetic code, even though my mother probably wanted us to. We didn't have reading time. My wife, she could read all day because her and her friends would grow up and they sit in a circle and read books. That's part of the input into their genetics. So what I feel like people, like what the book was getting to is like, if you just say one of your goals is to consistently eat breakfast. So you're a natural person, go work out. So Ty, I have to eat breakfast to go work out. Like make that part of the steps, what you write on your board. Make that part of the strategy of progressing through your day is eat breakfast to work out, and then you continue moving forward. So that's just tying in what you're trying to add into what's natural to you. I think that's the intent of what Clear was trying to get across when he said genetics. Like Phelps is a drastic example, but I think he was really trying to say, put whatever you're trying to add into your life in the path of what's natural to you, what feels good. Because like you said at the beginning, we're always looking for the reward, the positive reward. So if it's tied to something that I know is gonna give me a reward, I'm probably gonna more consistently do it.
Yeah. I think he called that habit stacking or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. If you know that, hey, I got to do this thing first in order to get what I want, that'll definitely, give you that motivation to do it. Yeah.
So we're going to kind of move towards the end, but I want to go over this thing called the plateau of latent potential. So he's got this chart where it kind of shows how we feel like we view how progress should be and how it really is. So normally you think, all right, I did this, so I should get better. I did this, so I should get better. I did this, so I should get better. And it kind of looks like if you can see on my screen, like a straight arrow, constant growth. But what he expressed was, if you do this 1%, and that's his big thing, is like be 1% better than you were the day before. If you put it on the graph, and let's see if the people can see it, it looks really flat for a while. But as anything exponentially, as time goes on, it shoots up. But this time right here, that flat area is where a lot of people give up. So we consistently think, and he said that if you put 1% in, get 1% better every day, you end up 37 times better by the end of the year. And they showed that mathematical equation. I'm like, well, shoot, it makes sense. But people just have to get past that it's not doing exactly what I want, what I expected at the beginning, but the reward. And it kind of goes back to, if you look at a bank account, compound growth bank account.
Yeah.
If I put in a little money at a time initially, and I got my retirement account, I mean, it's been in there for 6 years now. Haven't seen a whole lot of real growth. But what they tell you about compound interest is that time factor is what's really important. Time and consistency. You consistently getting that 1% better over time, you're going to see those exponential growths. So how do you feel like that's realistic in the world? Like I put 1% better, because when he said, I was like, that don't equal 37, but I saw the math. Do you feel like that's realistic in the world? Like you put in a little bit, one habit a day, and at the end of 20 years, you've gotten that exponential growth.
I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. Like we have several examples of like that, like the thing that you said with the savings account or retirement account. You know, there are several people who put money in there and then they just, you know, they continue to keep investing, but that compound interest takes it up. But when I first read that quote about get 1% better each day, I was like, what does that even look like? What is 1% better? You know,
but that's how small, how simple he wants us to start.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. I guess the way that I kind of see it is once you kind of make it that practical 1% and it's something that you want to do, it makes it easier to kind of be consistent at it because it's about falling in love with the process. You know,
exactly.
If you, I think the people who quit, and I found myself in this space sometime, is the person who every time they do something, they're checking or trying to measure their progress. How much did I get better? How much? And if you stay in that mindset, it's easy to give up because, like you said, that base, it takes a while. It's momentum, you know, and it takes a while to kind of get that, you know, metaphorical car moving. You know, but if you're just like, hey, I enjoy it, you know, I'm giving my 1% every single day and I'm being consistent and you've become, you know, you enjoy the process, it will grow. And that's when it'll take off. You know?
Yeah, I think people don't really understand how deep Joel Embiid, the basketball player, when he said I'm the process, like that is deep. Yeah. All right. AI was the answer. Like, I got you right now. But Embiid is like, I know I'm gonna enjoy this process of becoming whatever the max potential I have. And that's where, to me, that's honestly where Change Your Cleats came from. It was, I worked hard, I did all these things, but I started to enjoy the process. I started to be aware of what the process looked like. So when I wanted kids that came behind me, people that came behind me, people that saw me to realize like the process is where the real gold, the real treasure is. Because one, you can repeat it. You can learn to multiply it and put it in different areas, but then also you can help somebody else. Yeah. If I went through and had a Hall of Fame career, but I couldn't teach anybody about all the different facets of learning that I did. I mean, it's business, it's work ethic, it's diet, it's relational. Like if I can't learn from all of those things and teach somebody else, like it's cool to have a bust. But what real impact did you have on the world? Where's the legacy if you didn't take the time to gain awareness of what you went through, enjoying the process of getting there?
Yes, I agree, man. I totally agree, man. When you were talking about that curve, one of the things that came to mind is acceptance. As we're trying to take on new habits, I'm trying to see like what is the difference between, you know, a person who's beginning a new habit and someone who's already in that habit. Like, is it less effort? Is it, you know, is it a different way of thinking? Are they just really positive? I think they have reached a point where they have accepted this is what I'm going to do. They just accepted the idea. This is a part of the process. This is what I got to do. Yeah. And you know, getting to that acceptance point is really what we're looking for, because that's when things begin to go on automatic. You know, the habit is formed. You know, and you know, I try to parallel different areas in my life that, I might be seeing some progress in with other areas. And, the quickest example I can think of is the working out in the gym. And working out in the gym for some people, like, yeah, it's work. Like for some people, I mean, especially if you're new to the gym, but it's work for a lot of people. Like you got to go in there, you got to lift heavy weights. There's pain, there's burning. But how do some people, how come they're okay with that and the other ones don't? It's like they've accepted that, this is what it is. This is what it takes. I'm okay.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, it's a part of the process. Yeah. And the key to acceptance I've learned is like, a big part of it is like breathing, and I know that sounds very simple, but I've been kind of experimenting with it. Like when I'm lifting heavy weights, and I have a bunch more to go, me kind of stressing out and making all these different faces, it's like, that's not going to help. You're actually taking away energy. So what I try to do is let me relax my face, let me relax everything that I can and go through the motion. And then once I get through one, it's like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep this going consistently. And before you know it, you're getting down to the last 10. Once I get to the last 10, I was like, okay, I know I can finish this.
I'm there.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. But it's just like, it's learning how to, and this is where meditation comes in, calm yourself down. It's not as hard as you're making it. Don't add more stress. And the way to calm yourself down is, for me, it starts with the breathing. That's what I learned from running. That's why I'm able to kind of like run as long as I can, because I figured out a rhythm. Once I get into this rhythm, which comes from my breathing, it's like, okay, I can stay in the zone. And I'm able to turn off these thoughts. That's the real war. It's the thoughts in your head. Mental battle. Yeah. Those beliefs. Oh, I'm tired. I want to stop. My leg is burning. Oh, I need to tie my shoe. And to me, like,
I need to figure out a way not to keep going.
Yeah, you figuring out something to stop going. But then when you're able to control your breathing, you're able to kind of regulate your thoughts. You're able to stay focused, Yeah. Or you're able to kind of like just block out and just focus on, I know for me, the way that I stay focused is let me focus on my form as I'm running. If I focus on 1, 2, 1, 2, then that's what I'm thinking about. I don't got time to be thinking about all these other things.
That I can't catch my breath. I'm focused on my form. I'm focused on these steps.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just gave everybody a huge action item, because if you think about it, anytime you feel stressed, anytime you feel like the weight is too heavy, anytime you feel like you're aggravated, if you take a breath, that breath to me always relaxes. I mean, it might not take me all the way back to mellow, but it starts to bring me down. It starts to bring my awareness to a point where I can focus on what I'm trying to push forward to do. If you consistently, and it can look like this in the weight room, but it might look like start shaking and you're in a discussion. It might look like I can't focus when like I had somebody and I was pissed, but I had somebody cut in front of me and I saw it happen. I was like, don't do it. And they cut hard in front of me. And it caused me to jerk. I mean, I was swerving. Honestly, I thought the car was gonna flip. I did. But I got so, the adrenaline built up so quickly. But I had the awareness. I'm gonna toot my horn this time. I had the awareness to start breathing. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get all the way back to before the incident happened, but I was able not to chase my man down the road. I was able to not have to pull over or have to yell or whatever. I was able to just constantly bring myself back down. And I feel like if we can do that, we can get ourselves back on track in an argument, in the weight room, and wherever we're trying to grow at. We can get back ourselves down and focus and get back to the path we're trying to develop these habits. Like, that's a huge action item to me.
Yeah, that example you just gave, that reminded me, one time I was on a highway and I was driving about 60 miles an hour, and a truck, they had some cardboard boxes on the back in the bed of the truck. So one of the cardboard boxes flew off the car and on my windshield as I'm driving, and it covered the whole thing. Really? So like, in that moment, I I was like, man, I can't panic. So I had to control my breathing, and I had to pull my arm out of the, and pull the cardboard box off the windshield. Hopefully I didn't run in the back of no car or anything like that. But I was just like, that was one of those moments where it's just like, okay, I got to control this. Yeah, I got to control myself and get through it.
That emotional piece, if you can control those emotions, man, you can really get through a whole lot of things in this life.
Yeah.
That's one thing, like, people start feeling like these habits that they're trying to build are daunting. But if you can control the emotion of this is too much or this is too hard, and just breathe and handle the next time, and then handle the next time. Stop trying to make it a big picture. Just handle the moment that you're in right now. And then one day, if you handle all these moments individually, you'll be able to look back and be like, I handled 10 years worth of work. But if you look forward saying, I got to get through 10 years, that's a little tough. But if you handle this habit today, handle this 1% today, then you'll be 37 times better this year and 37 times better the next year without even really realizing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, I agree.
This has really been and I love how these conversations develop into more than just a book review. And it's, to me, we got to be able to see how these things affect and are implemented in our lives. And I feel like this has been an amazing conversation to do that, to incorporate the lessons from the book, as well as to incorporate how do we see these things in our day-to-day basis. So come on, I got one more thing, and it's kind of like the counter to the whole book. Like, he has a section where he says the downside of creating good habits is you get so good at it that you start overlooking at the minor errors. So like, it's like in construction, that's what I work in now, is the people we're scared of safety-wise are people that are brand new because they don't know, and people who are 30 years in because they've done it so many times, they overlook the minor areas that show up. So as we continue to move forward in our habits, let's continue to see continue to learn from the things we do right and the things we do wrong. Because the things we do wrong are the things that get us in trouble. But if we pay attention to them and have awareness to them, we can always put ourselves in a safe, more productive position. And that's just one thing that I wanted people to understand. Like, yeah, you're going forward into this direction, this habit, this identity you're trying to be, but always be conscious of those negative lessons, those things that you felt like brought you down as you move forward, because that's really how we continue to maintain progress as we learn from our failures as well as our successes. You got anything left for the people?
Well, I mean, I guess I want to thank you for having me on the show, man. Being able to talk the book out, it just, I don't know, it just made me think about, different things, It just made it come alive more, so I really appreciate you bringing me on the show to kind of talk about it, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Man, it was a pleasure to talk to you, but I'm so happy you picked this book. Like, I feel like this book is where we both are right now. Like, we know, we have an idea of what we're trying to be or who we're trying to be, but what does it take to get there? And this book right here helps set up the idea for the plan. And then after the plan is the action. This was a great selection. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. My man Zikomo, one of my best friends from the beginning. It's definitely been a pleasure, my man.
Oh man, same here, man. Same here.
So this is us from the Huddle signing out. Everybody change your cleats, man, and go read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Peace.
Peace.